everybody. I'm Stacey J.
And I'm Chuck Duran.
Welcome to another amazing episode of VO Buzz Weekly.
That's right. And today on the show, we have the awesome Randy Thomas, voice of Entertainment Tonight and lots of other things. And she is fabulous. You're going to love her.
She is. Love her. But let's do a viewer email first.
Let's go.
Okay, this comes from Sean from Japan.
Whoa, all the way from Japan. Get down, Sean.
Sean says, Dear Chuck and Stacey, you guys are amazing. I just wanted to thank you both for continuing to provide a unique, informative, and entertaining VO show of the highest quality and caliber. Not only do you have the greatest guests, your superb interview skills make the most of the wealth of experience, bringing answers to the questions we up-and-comers want to know, and then some. Between this, Rob Paulson's podcast, Dave Courvoisier's blog, and VoiceOver Extra, I feel like I'm attending the free VO University of my dreams. Thank you for continuing to represent everything that is great about this business. I'll know I've made it when I'm sitting across from you in front of those crushed velvet curtains. Till then, I'll be sure to get my weekly vitamin buzz.
Nice.
Warmest regards.
You're going to have to fly over here if you want to be on our show, though, because we're not coming to you.
That's so great.
That's the deal.
And you are in great company.
Absolutely.
With Rob Paulson and Dave Courvoisier.
Yes, and thank you for that email, Sean. We really appreciate it. It was very nice. How about tip of the week? So, on March 10th, we were on eWebs, East West Audio Body Shop, with George Whittam and Dan Leonard. We had a blast.
So much fun. You can check it out on YouTube.
Absolutely. And so we were on there, and George had these new headphones by Harlan Hogan, and that we were wearing, and I'm like, these are really, really cool, man. What are they? And I'm like, and he goes, oh, those are Harlan's new headphones, you know. And so we actually, you know, were messing around with them, and Harlan had a good time. So he sent us a pair to try out.
I know.
And I just wanted to share with you guys.
I used them the other day. They are so amazing. Thank you, Harlan.
But the thing is that I was so impressed because they come in a beautiful box. It's black.
Yeah.
I like black.
Yes.
And you open it up, and there's a nice, beautiful little like leather-like case for your headphones.
Take them on the road.
And then here you have your headphones. But check this out.
Look at that!
This is like silk. Okay, and we took the headphones out, and the cool thing, man, is that I got to say something about these headphones. First of all, these have not been opened because he sent us two pair. The other pair's been open. I didn't want to open these yet because I want you guys to check this out.
Yes.
So they're so comfy. This is memory foam. So it's really, really extra soft in your ears. And there's two of them, one for each ear. That's a bonus. But the bottom line is this. Why do we use the Well, first of all, let's talk about this real quick. Do we need headphones for voiceover? Abso-freaking-lutely, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to do a professional job where you're not going to wear these things.
Exactly.
But for home, it's so comfy to wear these things. They sound great. That's the bottom line. They sound really, really cool.
They're so comfortable. I used them for auditions the other day at home, and they were
You've been
amazing.
using them a lot, actually.
Yeah,
Because you've been auditioning a lot.
And it's really nice. Yes, I have.
Yeah,
Thank
yes, you have, Stacey.
Thank you.
So, anyways, how do you get these? You go to voiceoveressentials.com. You send our little buddy Harlan Hogan a little email telling him, hey, Chuck and Stacey sent us. Do we get a discount? We don't know if you do, but maybe he will. Who knows? These things are awesome. Definitely worth your time and your money, no doubt.
Okay, let's go talk to Randy Thomas.
Let's go.
Our guest has been opening doors for women in radio and voiceover for more than 20 years. She is the iconic voice of Entertainment Tonight and The Insider on CBS, and she is the co-author of the amazing book, Voice for Hire. We are so excited to get buzzed with the engaging and enchanting Randy Thomas.
Randy Thomas.
Thank you both so much for the invitation.
Thank you so much for being here.
Is there a secret handshake or anything I should know?
Well, you know what? It is VO Buzz Weekly, but you know we don't have the. We could do one of those.
But you are a rocker chick, and we do appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Look at the style. I love the bling, and you know that's cool.
20 years as a rock DJ. That's what happens. You can't throw away your leather jackets.
Heck no.
No, they're timeless.
It's beautiful, and the hair. You're rocking the hair.
Thank you.
So do you travel with your own hair person? How do you look like that all the time?
No, but I do have one in every city.
They come in handy.
You know, you have to, because especially if you do an interview with VO Buzz Weekly and you know that interview is going to live there forever,
That's right.
you better
True.
invest. Now, you can go to Bloomingdale's and just buy a piece of makeup and they'll do your makeup at the MAC counter.
That's true.
But,
Yeah.
but then you don't get them to come with you to make sure that you look the same under the lights.
Exactly. So we're talking
Experience,
high.
a little bit of diva-hood.
Yeah, diva-hood all the way.
It's working for you.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm going to start off by asking you something that probably a lot of people ask you, but I don't know this, and I don't know that Stacey, and I know that a lot of people out there probably don't either, but how did you get started in VO, man? How'd that work out?
Well, after a 20-year radio career, actually it was while I was on the radio. I was hosting the morning show on the Wave. I had
The Wave?
recently segued from rock to the Wave, new age. I was doing
94.7
the Wave.
Wow.
See, I'm tone deaf. I
Little
can't even do
flashback.
that.
They're still around, right?
Yes, of course.
course, man.
Yes.
They're never
Carrie
gonna
Tom
go away.
Bazian is my favorite nighttime air
Yeah,
personality.
Yeah.
she's great.
Yeah. So I was on the Wave. I was doing the morning show, and it really was marking the end of a career that I had had, but I didn't know it at the time. I was finally doing mornings, which was a first in LA to be a woman doing mornings, and I was there and I was asked to audition for the Academy Awards. So I answered that call, as I suggest anybody does. If
Yes.
they see Academy Awards office calling you, call them back, see
And
what
they
they
just
want.
said, will you do it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I auditioned with about probably 50 other women.
Yeah.
Maybe not that many, but all of us on the Wave
49.
auditioned.
Yeah.
There were a lot of actresses, people that the Oscars knew were doing voiceover. And it was the first time in history that they were willing to put a woman behind the microphone of the Oscars.
And that was in 1993, right?
1993. So I auditioned like everyone else, and it took about 10 days. Usually if you audition, if you don't get a call within
Yeah.
a week,
Yeah.
you figure, well, I'm not the one. And I didn't think I was the one, and they called and they said, we'd like you to do it. And it changed my life. Everything changed from that moment.
That was the moment.
Yes, that was the pivotal
Wow.
moment.
How cool is that?
Were you aware at the time of how, because live announcing was the guys.
Right.
Were you aware at the time of how epic that was, or was it more of just, I'm living my
Thank
life and...
goodness, I had no idea what
Good
that
for you.
what
Yeah,
that
'cause it would've
involved. I
freaked
really
me out.
didn't.
Yeah.
Because as a DJ, you're on the radio every single day. You're talking to people, and the first thing they teach you in radio is you're only speaking to one person. And so that was my philosophy. And I remember in the interview for the Oscars, they said, well, how are you going to feel when we go live to 1 billion people? I said, you know what? When the red light goes on, I'm at the top of my game.
Yeah.
And normally, you don't always think you booked something.
Yeah.
But I really felt confident on the way home. I thought, I think that was a good thing to say, because that was their biggest worry.
Absolutely.
Can a woman
Yeah.
handle the pressure of
Can a
live?
woman handle the pressure? I think the woman can handle a lot more pressure.
A woman
than
can
the
handle
man.
childbirth,
But
for
we're not
goodness
gonna get
sakes.
into that. That's a
Well,
whole
it's
different
true,
show.
but it's like trailers, which hopefully we'll talk about at some point, which is the land where really women don't go at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But for me, with live, I did my first Oscars terrified, but I got through it. I think I had one tiny fumble. Because we would do, the red carpet. Now there's an entire
Oh, that's
show
right.
dedicated to the red carpet
Yeah.
that precedes the Oscars. When I first did it, Jeff Margolis directed, and we would do the entire red carpet entrance that ran for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And you had to say, and there's George Clooney, and so, and there's blah, blah. And you would read a card, you would throw it, someone would tap you because picture changed. You'd read again, throw it, tap, picture. So, because if you
Somebody would
look,
tap you?
yes, you had to have a tapper. So, if you looked at the screen to see who was on, by the time you got down to read that piece,
Yeah.
they'd
It
be
was
gone and
gone.
you'd be playing catch up.
Wow.
So you literally had to read, toss, wait for your tap, read, toss.
Have we ever had a tapper on the show?
No.
I don't think there are any more
Central
tappers.
casting, are there...
There
Right?
you go.
We
No
did-
more
Are there
tappers.
still
did
no
away
more
with tappers.
tappers now?
No, they're extinct.
Wow.
They are.
Tapping is extinct.
So yeah,
That's
and then
insane.
they changed it, of course. So nobody has to
First
tap
of all,
anymore.
now let's just switch roles here. If that was me,
Yeah.
one tap is all it would have taken for me to go like, "What do you want? I'm working," and that's it.
Yeah.
Show's gone.
That's so
So
funny.
multitasking is essential.
I think staying focused is really the most essential because, I can be in a tennis game and I have no idea what the score is. After the second or third game, I've lost the score of the games, the match. But, when you're doing a live award show, it's good to always stay on page, in the moment. Don't think about anything else.
Yeah.
And it's intense. It's an incredible rush because I don't think I've done many things where I've had to stay so focused for 3.5 hours.
Well, I was going to say, and it's such a long time, and the
Yeah.
commercial breaks, I mean, they go by in a flash, so
Yeah.
you are...
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
But it's the wildest ride of your life, as several women know. I
Yeah.
was the first. I'm blessed that I've done the Academy Awards 7 times.
Yes.
But it's...
Yes, and we're going to get to some of the
Wait, how
other...
many?
Yeah, it's a
Some
lot.
of the other firsts, yes, and counting, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
absolutely.
So, but other women are now coming through that door. So that's exciting. It's very gratifying to know that
Do
I
you
kicked
watch
it.
the award shows that you announce back? Because obviously you're not taking it, oh, look at her dress. I mean, you're...
Oh, you mean after?
Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
like
I
to
think
watch
that's
it?
the only way you can learn. Don't you think
Yeah.
if you're recording something, people can direct you, but
Yeah.
unless you listen back to what you just did, then you go, oh, I know how to fix that. I can make
Exactly.
that better.
Yeah.
So of course, because then you really get to see it in context and there's no pressure
Yeah.
Right.
in watching it the next day on the DVR. You're like, oh, okay, well, I could have done that better, but not bad.
Are you a friendly critic to your work, or are you hard on yourself?
I think I'm pretty harsh. Most of us are. Yeah.
I'm not.
You're
I
like,
love everything that I do.
that's
Even
so
though it's not
great.
And
perfect.
everyone else does too, Chuck.
You know what? I do think overall, like I'll remember the one fa-fump. Out of a 3.5-hour
Yeah.
show, that's
Yeah, that
all I'll
one little
focus
tiny
about.
thing.
That's all I'll dream about for the next few nights. I want to go back in time and change it.
That's crazy.
Well, what is it they say? If you start and end strong, what happens in the middle, no one
Doesn't really
remembers.
matter. It's so true.
Supposedly,
I
but
think
it's
that's
true.
true because most people tune in for the beginning.
Yeah.
Or no, I wanted to tune in towards the end to see
Right.
who won the,
The big awards,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So it's a thrilling way to just engage and be a part of something so big. It literally takes a city to do the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
It's a city of people, thousands, and you
things
all
shut
have to
down,
work
yeah.
together. So you really are just one cog in a giant wheel,
Yeah.
and it sort of relaxes you. The host has to do his job, the lighting guy, the cue card guy, everything.
Yeah.
We don't have cue cards. The
No.
Chiron.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
But also, I mean, when they say you're going live, I mean, you're going live to billions of people.
Yeah. Well,
kinda-
now, of course, since Janet Jackson, I think we have a 5-second delay. But
Any announcing
Sometimes,
malfunctions?
sometimes that would be a good thing, right?
I would
Yeah.
think, and I think some award shows they've actually the acceptance speeches have included a few expletives, and they take those
Yeah,
out.
was it Melissa Leo? Was it last 2
Was
years
she?
ago?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was so
she-
great. Because
yeah.
we're on the east. I live on the East Coast, so I saw it live.
And
But
we're going to talk about that. I have
Yeah.
some questions in
all the
regards to
big
the East
shows
Coast.
are pretty much live now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grammys, Emmys, I think.
That's part of the fun, I've decided if you were royalty, which I kind of think you are, Randy, you would be Randy the First, because you are the queen of so many firsts. And correct me if I have any of this wrong. Okay, get ready, everyone, get comfortable. You were the first man or woman to announce the Oscars, the Tonys, and the Emmys in the same year.
In the same calendar year. That is absolutely
Let's
true.
hold for the booyah.
That deserves
That
a little
is
clap
awesome.
right there. I mean,
That's
come on.
amazing.
That
Even
was
a little
an amazing
bow.
year. But you know what happens when you do that? Then you want to do it again.
Yeah.
And then you get frustrated because
Well, and they're
they
so
haven't all
close
been in
together. I
succession.
mean, it's like bam, and you have just a few weeks,
right.
and then the
No,
next
that was
one.
an amazing year.
That's amazing. Okay,
Thank you.
you were the first woman to announce the Tony Awards, the SAG Awards, the Miss America pageant,
Mm-hmm.
and the first political convention. Was it not the Democratic
The
National Convention?
DNC in Boston.
Just
what
saying.
was that, 2004?
Yeah.
And then I was in Denver for the final night at Invesco when Obama accepted the nomination in 2008.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are pretty exciting things to do.
Right?
I mean, when I saw you over the summer at the poker tournament
Yes.
for the Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab, I had just come from announcing the 15th episode of Family Game Night on the Hub.
Yes.
So I remember driving home that night, and I talked to you, and I was like, how cool is this? I am a female announcer. I just talked to the woman who paved the way. I literally had like this pullover moment of like, I mean, it really was. And
She did. She came home.
I just have to thank you because, I mean, really, it was such an but it was like literally the last day.
It's a big
and then
deal.
I saw you at that event and I was like, my gosh, this is so freaking cool. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stacey. Do you feel like that opportunity might not have come your way had it not been?
Absolutely, because I took the place of a long-time male announcer and
Yeah.
they said, let's try a girl. And
Yeah.
so I just, thank you so much.
Well, you're
was so
welcome.
cool.
And obviously you deserve that opportunity. And it's just so strange how in our business, women are not perceived as equal to men. It started in radio. You know, the guys always did morning drive and afternoon drive. If you were a woman, you did midday or you would do nights.
Yeah.
And I was happy to change that paradigm a little. And then I didn't even realize how important the Oscars were the first year I did them. Because I had just moved. I hadn't been in LA all that long, and I was just happy to be working and be on the radio. So when that opportunity came, I took it and I did the best I could, and it created a pathway for myself that I never could have created, you know, in any way, or I didn't even have the dream. You know, I think that's what's really important, that when you are pursuing, if it's voiceover work or whatever it is you want to do, you have to have the dream and then be open to really raising the stakes, you know?
Yeah.
And that door was cracked open for me, the Oscars. And then I did a really good job, I think, and that's how the other doors opened.
Exactly.
In a world where there were only like 8 guys that did those shows, I became the one gal. So there were a few years where they kept calling me back. But
Yeah.
now it's all open, you know.
Yeah.
Don was the one trailer guy. Now there are 12 guys or 20 guys. And
Yeah, I think there's 11 now. They got rid of a few more. No, I'm just kidding.
But trailers is still a little bit of a male.
yeah, I mean, when I
exclusive
read articles
area.
by the buyers, you know, the movie companies that are spending these millions and their marketing dollars, they're just not willing to take a chance.
Yeah.
Because the perception of a female voice is that it's a Lifetime movie, or that it can't really be taken seriously, or that it can't really serve a major motion picture trailer unless that voice is manipulated, you know, electronically
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah. On that topic, do you feel that that's incorrect? I mean, do you?
Sure.
I want your thoughts on that.
Well, I think that it's like anything. Until you hear it in
Yeah.
perspective and in context, you're going to be, I don't really know. You know, this guy, he sounds so strong. But if you heard a female voice with the right read placed in that same context,
Yeah.
you'd go, well, that sounds good to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's almost, the sad thing is that women that are in the position of hiring women aren't making those
Won't even
choices.
do it, yeah.
And it's going to take a woman to make that strong choice, I think.
Yeah.
And then the others are going to go, wow, that sounded really good. We should probably do that.
You're on 100% right. We're like at the verge of something like that happening, and it will explode because I've always thought that they should use some women for
Yeah.
for trailers.
I think some movies absolutely, it's a necessity
It calls
for
for
the
it.
trailer.
And you are
Yeah.
hearing it here and there. You know,
Yeah.
a Roberta Solomon is really starting
Yeah.
to kick that door open. And so little by little, women
by
are going to
little.
make headway. And I just think there's going to be a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
So we'll keep
There's
our
a lot of
fingers
paradigm
crossed.
shifting
I
today,
know.
right? We're changing the world.
Well, we have to.
have to.
One VO at a
Have to
time.
start.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Here's a question for you. A lot of people talk about how if you want to be in voiceovers, you got to live in LA and you got to live in New York, and if you don't, forget about it. You obviously live in Florida, and I'd like to know, and I know they'd like to know, how do you make that work?
Well,
Are you the only one that does it?
no. In fact, in my town where I live, there are 2 major voiceover artists. One's name is Brian Lee, and the other is Chris Corley. So those guys never came to LA, and they have huge careers.
Right.
I started in LA, and I was living here when the Oscars happened. I stayed for a few more years, but then when Don LaFontaine didn't have to leave his house in Los Feliz anymore, I thought, okay, so now I can move. No one will know. I'll keep my 818 cell phone, And
No one will know.
the technology is there. So and voiceover artists all across the country that you guys are tuned in right now. I would say, keep the dream alive because it can happen. You don't have to live in Los Angeles or New York anymore. And those of you that do, don't even want to leave your home studios because who wants to get in the traffic?
Yeah.
Well, nobody wants to do that. If you don't live in LA, you don't know about traffic. But that's pretty cool. So there you go.
Yeah, the agents are representing voice talent that are located everywhere. And really today, the buyers mostly don't want to see you. They don't want you there.
Right.
They are much happier because you are an interruption in their day to some degree. It's like, oh, I got to track this.
Yeah.
They like the efficiency of either a dial-up on ISDN, they get what they need, they drop off, or they send you an email and they just want you to send them a link or send them an MP3. And so I think if that's the way they're doing business today.
That's cool. And that's how you do most of your work, right? And then you have to do flyouts.
I do
kind of like go on
flyouts.
tour. She's a rock star. She goes on tour to do certain
I know.
certain
Thank you
gigs.
so much for making time. She's here
So
just for a little bit of time.
Did you? You didn't fly out here just to do VO Buzz Weekly.
I did.
Although that would be really cool if she did.
We could say that.
We're going to say that she did, although she didn't.
Actually, I did make
We
sure
got you
that
just-
VO Buzz Weekly was the last stop in this 2-week trip that I've made, and I
you're
was
so
the most
sweet.
excited for this.
Wow.
I know. It was
That's
so great.
cool.
We were so excited when we got your note that you're coming. We're like,
Yeah.
this is so great.
And
So-
today we have an audience. You guys
Yes,
don't
we have
see
a
them, but
small
there's people over there, and
studio
they're like going
audience.
right now. They're like, wow, they're looking at me. Wow.
But you know why? I
What?
live on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and I sit in a booth.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an entire office studio. I built my situation, so I love it. It's very comfortable for me. But it's like working in a vacuum.
Yeah.
You don't get feedback unless you don't book the gig.
Yeah.
But really, you're just isolated. So I thrive in being a social creature. And there's not a lot of people for me to be social with
Wow.
in Florida
Yeah,
because
well, yeah.
Chris and Brian are in their studios.
Exactly.
It's not like we're all going to one studio hanging out and chit-chatting.
Exactly. Is your studio beautiful? So I don't think I've seen it.
It's fine. I like it. It's warm. I just put wood floors in it. I actually
nice.
had it too acousticized. I had carpeting. I have it's about a 6x10.
Yeah.
And I lost a few inches on each side. I did floating walls, so the triple
Nice.
layer, drop ceiling, and it's a concrete floor. And I had carpeting. And I was actually getting told that my sound was too clean, too dead, really.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to liven it up a little, so I just put wood floors in.
That'll
and
do it.
Yeah, after 9 years in my booth, I'm like, oh, I like those wood floors. It,
nice
a little
and warm. Yeah.
But what I do is I track in the booth, and I
Yeah.
have that 300-pound acoustic systems door. Instead
Yeah.
of working out, I'll just like open it with
Open
a
and
different
close.
arm every
That's
That's how
time.
intense.
she gets so many sessions, she doesn't need to work out. It's like open and
That's
close.
it. That's all you
right?
got to do. Well, and it keeps my tennis, arm warmed up.
Exactly.
So I don't even have a monitor in the booth because I don't want to spend too much time in there. I'll voice and then I'll go sit
And
at
then
my
you're
desk
out.
and I'll
And then
edit at my
there.
desk.
Okay, cool. So this is off topic, but you play tennis?
Yes.
Who's a better tennis player, you or Joe Cipriano?
Cipriano.
Joe is a lovely player, and Joe's game has gotten really strong in the last year.
Yeah?
Yes, and my friend Lisa Goff, who's here
we
with
know
us,
Lisa is great.
she is an amazing tennis player.
Yeah.
And so if I play with Lisa, I'll probably win, even if we're playing against Joe.
Really?
But
All
no,
right.
he's a strong player.
He's a strong
and
player.
he loves it. And he's been working out for the last 2 years.
That's
Yeah,
what he
looks
says.
great. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he looks good.
He's
We'll have
watching
to
this
do
right
maybe
now.
a live.
So, yeah.
We'll have to do maybe a live from the court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So your book, Voice for Hire, that you co-wrote with Peter
Rofe.
Rofe. What was the goal for writing the book? Why did you guys collaborate?
It was actually when I was living in LA, I decided that actually I never intended to be a coach or to write a book, but when you become the first woman,
Yeah.
and then people think, well, maybe she can help me. I get emails all the time,
Yeah.
and young up-and-coming voiceover artists and older people that are trying to shift a career and get into voiceover reach out to me. And you know how you give that same advice for all beginners, and every time a beginner reaches out to you, you're like, oh my God, if I just had that on tape, or written down, I could
Yeah.
give you this information, because after a while it's redundant. So I thought, you know what, let me just write it. And now when I get calls,
Yeah.
I want to help them, but I'm like, you know what, go get my book, read it, because if you get the book and we're on the same page, then I'm happy. Call me, tell me where you're at, and let me coach you a little bit and encourage you,
And you
forward.
do that.
Yeah.
I do that.
That's very sweet. That's
Well,
cool.
But Don was that kind of person.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
he wrote the foreword to your book.
Don wrote the
Yeah.
foreword to my book. He was
Yeah.
amazing, and he agreed to write it. He did. Peter and I actually were writing the book from two different coasts. I was in California, he was in New York, and that's why Peter and I decided to do it, because in New York, the coaching approaches are a little bit different than in LA. At the time, the casting was really all in person in New York, and in LA, not so much. So we felt that he's a guy, he specializes in animation, I'm a woman, do promo narration and live. So we thought, you know what, the two of us can probably write a more comprehensive book than either one of us could.
Right.
So Peter is the #1 voice coach in New York, or one of the top, and he's doing amazing things, and he is really flourishing with a ton of students that are coming out of this
Yeah.
book for him.
That's fantastic.
So how can people get your book?
Okay, thank you. Voice for Hire by Randy Thomas. You can probably find it on Amazon,
Yes.
or just go to my website and reach out to me, because if you want to get it through me, then I'll sign it and send it to you.
That's
And that's
really, really cool.
randythomasvo.com.
That's right, RANDY.
Yeah.
Randy with a
And
Y.
like Randy said, if you read her book and you have questions, then you can call her. And her number is 818.
None of your
See,
business.
and I can support you in your dream.
Yes, she will send you money. No. That's very, very cool.
What is your favorite memory of Don LaFontaine?
Oh my. Well, probably the first day I went on a ride along with Don, because at the time I was working at KMET, I was a rock jock at KMET, and Don was coming through Fox, and I was friends with a room producer, and I said, will you tell me when Don comes? And he called me, he says, he's coming by this afternoon.
Yeah.
I stood in the room, and he had a kid with him. I'm like, who's that? And they said, oh, someone that's riding along with him. I said, you can ride with him? So I called his agent, and I said, can I ride with Don? Don agreed, and I spent the day going. This is literally when Don was at the top of his game, going from one trailer house to a network to another trailer house to a show to do the open and the promos. And
Yeah.
and they would, Fox would be like, Don, can you come back later? And he's like, call my agent. And so he would, and he was just unbelievable. And he would sign those after sheets, and I'm like, cha-ching, cha-ching. So, and I guess this is maybe a point that I'd like to make to you about any voiceover dream, is that moment of riding with Don in his car and seeing the volume of work he was doing, I knew instantly that's what I wanted to do. I want to do promo, I want to do narration, I wanted, of course, trailers, perhaps, and I just thought that was the perfect life. You get up in the morning and you know exactly what you're going to do, and he made the rounds, but I don't care that I don't go anywhere, just send me the copy, I'll track it. But it was really a dream, and so I got to see what the highest level of success in a promo voiceover career looked
Absolutely.
like.
That certainly
And I was
was,
able
yeah.
to at least have that vision for myself. And of course, our own paths sort of reveal themselves as you, start your own way.
Yeah. I wish I could have experienced something like that. I mean, I don't really do voiceovers. I produce and direct and stuff, but all the story I never had a chance to meet Don, and like you did, and and a bunch of the other people that we've interviewed. But every time I hear stories about that guy, I want to meet him so bad.
I know.
And I can't. So
Well, sadly, you will one day.
I will. Sadly, I will. But thank you, Randy.
We all will.
It's true.
Hopefully not today. Sorry,
true.
Don.
That was awful.
No, that was funny. That
No,
was
it's
good.
true. Hey,
She's
well,
not-
I'll be pain-free and it'll be fabulous.
I mean, I didn't mean it to make it sound like
The
that.
big microphone in the sky.
Wait a minute.
Right.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Be sure and tune in next week for part 2 with the awesome Randy Thomas.
And keep up with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest at VO Buzz Weekly. You guys take care until next week, and just remember, you always have time for a little buzz.